Well, thank you very much, Anthony, for inviting me here, and I'm very pleased to be here, to be back in Barcelona. If you look at the photograph on the screen there, it's of what I would regard as a rather dreamlike place. It's Clissold Park in Hackney. Hackney is a rather dense, populated suburb of East London, quite close to the centre, many migrants, a very mixed population. And it's full of people. And this kind of space is now becoming very vulnerable in the modern society. Now, I've lived next to this park for 42 years, so I've seen it change. And I think what we must remember is how valuable the park plays in the social life of cities. Now, if you look at this photograph, when we think about some of the presentations we've heard earlier today, there is no surveillance, there is no CCTV cameras, nobody is using any energy, everybody is talking to each other and networking. So this space becomes absolutely vital to the humanity of the city. And I don't think that the British can really claim to have contributed much to urbanism or urbanism in the 20th century, but I do think we still have an understanding of the role that green spaces and parks can play in the humanity of the city. And in this talk, I want to go a little bit through the history of how our understanding of green space is now changing from one in which the park was a bounded piece of territory with its own rules, how it's slowly having to become part of an urban network, part of urban connectivity. So as I say, this is a space you can see in a photograph. It's a rather poor area, but people love to come and sit in the sun. They love flowers, they love trees, they do like to get away sometimes from their telephones, from the surveillance of cameras. And this, I would say, is a realm of freedom. And there's something rather special about parks as creating a realm of freedom. And the German philosopher Jürgen Habermas wrote some 20 years ago that in the modern world, the administered world is gaining ground, and the space that we have left in which we can be happy and free and convivial is reducing. And I think the role of urban green space is to expand out that realm of freedom again in the modern city. So as a little bit of history, because I'm very interested how in Europe, in the 20th century, we began to develop the notion of the role of public space as a kind of series of social conductors. I'm a great lover of the Netherlands, and one of my heroes is the Dutch architect Aldo van Eyck. Now, apart from being known for many wonderful buildings, when, at the end of the Second World War, he was asked by the Amsterdam City Council as an architect to go and work for them, they offered him a number of housing projects. And he said, before we build the houses, we have to create the spaces where the city can come together again as a series of networks, a series of neighbourhoods, and a series of communities. Because in the winter of 1944, which happens to be the year I was born in, 20,000 people died of starvation in Amsterdam alone. And the city was wrecked. It was wrecked not simply physically, but it was wrecked socially and culturally. And Aldo van Eyck saw that the idea of building, and what he did actually was over the next 25 years, he created with his team 700 playgrounds in the one city. And he saw each playground as a space where the neighbourhood could begin to come together again, to begin to rebuild a sense of community.